It is now time for Zakaah in Focus, our final program for this year. And we have Maulana, National Chairperson of Sanzaf, in studio. Maulana, welcome back. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And of course, our lovely National First Deputy Chairperson, Fairuz Mohammed. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Aunty Jamila. How are you doing?
I'm good. Always good to have you in studio, because this is the time, the questions that comes through from our listeners is so important, because through those questions we all learn.
Absolutely.
And Zakaah, as we've mentioned so many a time, is one of the pillars, and it's such a pillar that we perhaps push aside.
Yeah.
And it's a very important pillar.
Absolutely.
So let's get straight into our questions. And but before we do, they always ask, what is the nisab? So if you have that amount to start off with, and then the question that had come through as well, the fitra amount as well.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina wa biyana wa maulana Muhammadin ajma'een. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatam lisani yafqahu qawli. And Jamila, shukran. Yes, if you look at the nisab, last week actually the nisab was just over 12,000 rand. Today, the nisab is 11,830. So, subhanAllah, you can see how the nisab changes. So, it's important that when you've reached that threshold and you're doing your calculation today, make sure you're checking what the nisab is on the day you're doing your calculation, just to make sure that whether you've reached that nisab. And in terms of the fitra amounts, are 84 rand. This is now in Western Cape, and fidya is 33 rand per day. So, fitra per person is 84, fidya per day is 33 rand.
And it's best to pay that
minimum. Yes, so that's the minimum amount. Maulana would always say in the northern suburbs, I think their fitra could be 100 rand or 90 rand.
Yes,
so if you can afford more, pay more. But these are the minimum amounts that you are meant to pay.
Shukran. I know Maulana wants to add on to that, Maulana.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's important that we actually encourage people. وَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. The more you give, the better for you. Better for you in the reward. And the aim of fitra is to make sure that Allah, we compensate for that few things that we said wrong. You know that not sins you done, but that extra saying things which is like I think Jamila, you must give double the amount for what coming out of your mouth at times, right? So that is important, that we always have that ability, and Allah, although this is what you have said, this is my ability to do, right? And with my ability to make sure that I give the best, because I'm the worst. I'm the worst person.
Subhanallah.
That we rather give more, so that, because I'm not giving more for somebody to receive more, but for somebody else to benefit more from me. A 99 rand, you ask me, can 99 rand for 90 rand? In the northern suburbs, it's been 90, for else is river, Krem is 100, Pero is 120, Panorama is 150. And we're not shy about it. Because we are telling you, this is because people think you give them a figure, I must just pay that. Yeah, just fitra. What the Quran saying to us, وَمَنْ تَتَوَّعَ خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. The better, the more you give, the better for us. And also we know our Eid shopping can never be 88 and 84 any. And the aim of fitra is to make sure that every Muslim person does have something for the day of Eid. Do I want to have a great lamb, and must my neighbor and are poor, must they have baby beef? Because with the 84 and you're going to have almost not the best of meals. Look at what we have. Look what Allah has given us. Look how Allah has favored us. By giving does not make you poorer. And the more you give, the better for you.
Ameen. Maulana, I have managed to save some money for my education. Do I still need to pay zakah on this?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You know, whenever we save money, it's like the people ask, this is my Hajj money, I saved it for many years, but I pay Zakah on it. Because you're saving it, it means a surplus money. It's not money that you need to survive every day.
Yeah.
It's saving there, it is lying there for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And we have our children education money in the form of a policy. The old people say have it in the form of a tin, you know, and put the money in there. You can put the money in the tin, but you must count the money also to pay your zakah on the money. And if you can put your money in the policy, you must also get the amount that you have put in if it is in a non-Sharia compliant. If I had it in the savings in a savings box, you must count it every year to make sure that you pay your zakah on it, because it's a surplus money. You didn't use the money to buy bread. You didn't use the money to pay the water bill. It is money that is lying there. And the Quran says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ. They will ask you, what must they pay zakah on, or their dues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied, قُلِ الْعَفْ. Tell them the surplus money, and that you pay your zakah.
Shukran so much for that, Maulana. First, let's speak about debtors, right? So it says here, I'm a medical doctor and patients owe me money. Do I pay zakah on these debtors?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So that's a very important question, because I think a lot of these businesses or business houses tend to think that you only pay zakah on cash or investments, and not realizing that you actually pay zakah on debtors as well as stock. So this is obviously a medical practitioner, and so her debtors or his debtors would be patients in terms of owing them money. There is a difference of opinion though. So when it comes to debtors on services, the Hanafi madhab says that you do not pay on debtors because it's a service. It's not something that you've owned and transferred. It's a service that somebody, you've done a service and they owe you money. So in terms of the Hanafi madhab, there is no zakah due on debtors relating to services.
Okay.
But obviously the other view is in terms of Shafi, etc., that if you if you offer a service, whether it is as a doctor, etc., then there is zakah due on your zakatable assets, because debtor is a zakatable asset. So that's just a difference of opinion when it comes to debtors relating to a doctor that offers service. Obviously, if you're trading, if you're selling goods, and people owe you money because you've sold goods to them, there's no difference of opinion to that. If it's debtors, then that is a zakatable asset.
But you mentioned in previous program, I think, about debtors, weak debtors.
Yes, okay.
So maybe just speak
Explain
about that.
Yeah. So when we speak about weak and strong debtors, so a strong debtor is somebody that you know is going to pay you. So they usually pay by 30 days, that kind of period. So those are strong debtors. So that you definitely include as part of your zakatable assets. So we assume this is a Shafi'i then follower that has services to debtors, or if you're referring to any other debtors. If it's a weak debtor, then there is actually two views relating to a debtor that is weak. So this is somebody that is long outstanding. You're not sure whether this person's going to pay. They acknowledge the debt, but they may be in some financial predicament and they can't repay you right now. So there are two views on this one. The first one is you do not have to pay the outstanding debtors until they pay you, and you pay in that year for that once you receive the money. The other view is, which is the one that we recommend as well, when you receive the money, you've got to pay for all the years that you haven't added it to your calculation. Okay. So it technically means you have to pay for that outstanding debtor every year.
Yeah.
But because you're laying out money and you haven't received it yet, delay it until you receive it, but you now have to calculate and pay the outstanding years of debtors as well.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Going to the WhatsApp line 0786 10 11 12. Assalamu alaikum. If one has the same amount in investment last year as the current year, do you pay zakah again on the same amount?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So irrespective whether your investment grew or not, or let's say, for example, that even dropped, as long as you've held that minimum threshold of surplus wealth, which is now, for example, 11,800 Rand. So if you're doing your calculation today and you at least hold this minimum threshold of 11,800 Rand, then you still need to now start doing the calculation. So irrespective whether your investment hasn't grown, you add the investment value, you add your cash, your debtors, your policies, your RAs, whatever that value is, less your deductible liabilities times 2.5%.
Thank you so much for that. This is Zakaah in Focus. Maulana Hashim Kasim as well as Fairuz Muhammad in studio from Sanzaf. Now it says here, can I pay Zakaah monthly? Then it's not too much as a once-off yearly.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That is a good question, but it must be for
Advance.
Zakaah in advance. What has gone past, you pay because it was your due date, you pay your Zakaah. But if you want to pay in a monthly or an installment, then you pay those in advance. So if you come to the time of your whole, what is your original time of paying, now you just reconcile, see, maybe you've overpaid or you have underpaid. If you're underpaid, you top it up and you're there. If you have overpaid, you can make intention that it is my next year's Zakaah. Right? So there is Islam is about Adinu Yusrun. This religion of Islam is a very easy religion. So you can, when you can't do this, it's something else on. You can't take wudu, take tayammum. If you can't fast, you pay your fidya. If you can't pay fidya, you receive fidya. It's about how we do things. And intention is clear. So you want to pay in advance because it is easier for you. Barakallah fikum. The only thing is that you have to make sure it is the correct amount after calculations. You can add on, or you can make it a niyyah. Okay, I'll make it sadaqah.
Yeah.
It's not zakah. I can make it niyat or zakah for the next year also. I'll make it a sadaqah. You'd be the one that decides. Allah gives you a chance to give how much you want to give and how you want to give it. So that, because zakah is not about making you poor, man. Zakah maak ook nie vir Allah ryk nie. In Allah ghani. Allah is the richest, right? Zakah doesn't mean to make Allah richer, but it will make you yourself richer, even financially. It said zakah is like an injection. To give an injection, the prick is shown. But the after effects?
Relief.
Cure. Right? Zakah, it looks as if you're getting you are getting lesser money, or your money is getting lesser. It is actually in actual fact a cure and a way and means of getting more money is when you start paying zakah money.
Maulana, speaking on fidya, it's lengthy message, but I'll read it anyway. Excuse me. Assalamu alaikum, Maulana, and everyone in studio. I'm divorced from my husband for 3 years now. I still work and live with my married son. I still have a daughter on school, which my ex do not support financially. However, my monthly expenses is a lot and hardly have anything left when I get paid. About 3 weeks ago, my doctor informed me I cannot fast due to only having one kidney. I'm supposed to pay fidya, but can't afford it. What do I do?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You do whatever you can. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa husa'aha. Allah will not burden a soul, a person, but what he can do or achieve. So I can pay 20 rand, I give the 20 rand. I can't pay nothing, Allah will give you in another way. You don't have to pay. It means now you can receive fidya. Right? So if you can't pay it, this is the rule. Right? If you are sick and terminal sick, you must pay fidya in place of the fasting. But if you can't fast and you can't afford the fidya, then there's a way and means Allah forgive, and also you can receive fitra and fidya.
May I ask then, Maulana, the auntie says she lives with her married son. Does the responsibility of paying fidya fall on the son or not?
You know, that's one of the biggest questions. First, it is your own responsibility. It's like, I must make salah, my child can't make salah at my place. Right? I must pay my zakah, my husband can't pay my zakah unless it's very, very much in love, barakallah fikum, Allah keep us together, but you don't have to. You can say, I don't pay your zakah because it's your own ibadah. The same as your fidya, but if you look, that is fatwa, taqwa, best practice, insaniyat, human nature, for every year in our life, from birth, our parents paid our fitrah. Our parents paid our fitrah. Now, if we are by the means, let us run and hasten to pay their fitrah, even pay their fidya. If you had to be small and you had to pay fidya perhaps, our parents would have done it. And they had so little. They had a simple job. He brought us the children, brought us up, college, university, paid our fitrah. You know, they made sure that they paid this stuff for us. Now it's our turn in the return. Who should look at now? We look at our parents. Allah grant us hidayah. That we always think today is our chance to do it for them. Tomorrow might be too late.
Can I give my zakah to my kids, and can kids give their zakah to their parents? Please advise. We had a question similar to this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So there are certain individuals who can receive, and there are certain individuals of your family members who cannot receive. So those family members who cannot receive your zakah are those your ascendants and descendants, as well as your spouse. So if we look at your ascendants, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, if you look at your descendants, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, etc., as well as your spouse. And the reason why you cannot give your zakah to them is because they are your responsibility. You need to take care of them. So you cannot give your zakah to them. You are encouraged to give of your sadaqah, give of your wealth, your surplus wealth or just your wealth that you have.
Yeah.
So those who can receive your zakah are those who have been prescribed in Surah Tawbah verse 60, which are the 8 categories of zakah. But if we're specifically referring to family members, so those family members that can receive your zakah are your brothers, your sisters, your nieces, nephews, uncles and aunts, for example, because you're not responsible for them. So it's encouraged actually for you to seek your family members first, whom you are entitled to give your zakah to. Remember, they can receive your zakah, but if they are eligible to receive. So if you have zakah and you have family members, first seek them out and pay your zakah to them first before you give it to an institution like Sansa, for example. It is encouraged, and like Maulana always says, charity begins at home. And plus there's a double reward. You get the reward of just charging your zakah, and you get the reward of keeping family ties. Because if you have a family member that's in need and you're giving your zakah to someone else that's just not even connected to you, that family member is going to think, but now I'm directly a family member, you know I'm in need, I'm struggling, etc., and they don't take care of you, because that's also taking care of somebody. It's not your responsibility, but that shows the compassion that you have for family. And inshallah, it's usually best, and it's encouraged and recommended that you distribute your zakah and you give it to family members first that are eligible.
Shukran so much for that. Just squeeze in one more before we need to take a break, Luqman. Yes? All right. It says here, I saved my zakah to pay it when it's due. The money was taken without my permission. Am I liable to pay it off or wait till the person returns it?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It was due already, because he added it on. So it was due already, you are liable. But I have nothing else anymore. But the mere fact that I had zakah, or I was eligible with zakah, mean I had wealth. They're taken out to put away and to give it as zakah is now gone. You can take it as a liability most now.
Yeah.
But your zakah is still there to be paid. Unfortunately, therefore, Sayyidina Umar is to say, pay zakah. Hurry to pay your zakah. Hurry to pay your zakah, because tomorrow you might come and even the recipient will tell you, Shukran, I don't need zakah. Then it's in your hands. Yeah, it got lost. You saved it. You didn't pay it. You didn't give the zakah. You kept it, or you tried to make all to come all at once. Where we stay, it's not easy anymore. So when you have the time to pay your zakah, do it now. Tomorrow is never promised.
Shukran so much for that. Can one give zakah to a Christian person?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We shouldn't be shy about it, because in Africa, it is a religious ibadah. It's supposed to go to Muslims. It's like, can I pay fidya? Can I give a fidya to non-Muslims? No, you can't. Why can't we give fitra to non-Muslims also? They also suffer. Fitra is for the day of Eid. Who celebrates Eid? Muslims. Secondly, fidya, it'amul miskin, is to feed the poor. So who is the poor now that doesn't have food in Ramadan after fasting the whole day? Are Muslims.
Yeah.
Zakah, we shouldn't be, in South Africa we are all in one rainbow nation. Yes, we are a rainbow nation. The Jewish board never says that we give it to everybody. We give it to the Jewish board, to the Jewish people. Catholics, when they have school bursaries, they give it to Catholic students. So why should we as Muslims be shy to say zakah is for Muslims? Zakah is to empower Muslims. Zakah is to it'amul miskin, to feed the Muslims. We shouldn't be shy and try to be the most, everybody's the famous people and the infamous people. We want to dinner. Now we can. Even our fitra. There's a special come to the mass buka and street bukas. What monies are used to do it? I'm saying it with an idea where everybody run from Muslim and non-Muslim run for street bukas.
Yeah.
Right? So if it is zakah money, ask yourself, do I doing the right thing? If it is fidya money, ask yourself, is it the right thing? If it is fitra money, ask yourself, it is the right thing. Remember, me and you, the organizers, has taken the wikala from other people, their donations. Whatever niyat it is, should be given the amana and the rightful place to those who are consuming these Islamic funds.
It says here, Assalamu alaikum. From what age is someone eligible to pay zakah? My kids have very small savings accounts. Should they be paying zakah, and what is the percentage?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So it is not the age of any person, it's the wealth. Right? If the money is the amount of the nisab and there's a hole and there is ownership, then the zakah. Some ulama says, because you're not mukallaf yet, not baligh, you don't pay. But most of the ulama or jamhur ulama will say you're paying zakah on the wealth and not on the person that owes it. That's one. And if it is small amounts, you don't pay. It's about the nisab, it's about the howl, it's about the ownership, it's about the growth. Right? Then you pay zakah. Otherwise, our savings should be given. But teach our children from young to start giving. Teach our children to share. Teach our children from young to do what they have is to give it to somebody else also, to grow their own wealth.
Yeah.
They only grow their own habits, but they grow their own wealth, because sadaqah to la yanqusul mal. Sadaqah and zakah doesn't decrease your wealth. It actually increases, because zakah also means to increase, purify and increase. So if you want to grow your wealth from small, start to teach them how to give and how to share with one another.
And
Right.
Jamila, maybe just to add on in terms of, because obviously as a minor child, and in terms of the Shafi, like Maulana said, they obviously can't do the calculation. So it becomes the responsibility of the guardian to do that calculation and discharge of that zakah on their behalf. And obviously from a Hanafi madhab perspective, you do not pay zakah on the wealth of minor children until they've become baligh.
All right, and it's of course 2.5%.
Yes.
Right. Listener asks, am I right in understanding I can give my zakah to my married daughter who is married but both don't have full-time work? Can her siblings and son give their fidya to them too?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I've just previously mentioned, like maybe just 10 minutes ago, who can and who cannot receive your zakah, specifically relating to family members. So your daughter is not entitled to receive your zakah, and her siblings obviously would be your children, her children would be your grandchildren. So they're not entitled to receive your zakah. What you need to give of them is your wealth as sadaqah. Because if they are in need, if they're not working, then it becomes your responsibility as well to help them. As a mom, I think generally if your kids are struggling, etc., we support them still, even though they're married. You know, they will always remain your children. But unfortunately, you cannot give of your zakah that's due to your children. They can only receive of your sadaqah. We obviously explained who can receive your zakah in terms of the other extended families.
And of course, the brothers and sisters and the siblings cannot give their fidya either.
That is
what the
so if she has siblings, so her brothers and sisters can give their zakah to her, because you are allowed to give your brother and your sister zakah if they are eligible to receive. But I can't give it to my children. So as a mom, I can give to my children, but my son can give to his sister. If she's eligible to receive, he can give it to his siblings, whether it's the sister. So as long as she's eligible to receive. So it's encouraged then for him, because she is in need. Seek your own family first, then give your zakah to her, and then seek somebody else if you have, zakah in abundance to give.
As like zakah, charity begins at home. But also, and at times we don't realize when we give to our children, we are so busy as parents, as adults, to accumulate wealth, right? And we're not sharing it with our children even. Yes, some children do take advantage, but some children is good children, alhamdulillah. If you hear how children wants to give their parents, if you are the parent and you have wealth, don't keep it for one day. Enjoy your wealth now by spending your wealth with your children and enjoying it with your children. That will bring happiness and mahabbah. Remember the hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tahaddu tahabbu. Give to one another as presents. Don't even always ask it back in even. You will create that love between mother and child. That child will want to stop. Mommy, please don't worry about me. I'm okay. The mother in return say, I want to give to you because there's nobody left. How long are you going to live? We plan to have money till 80. I might just die 68. So there's 12 years surplus. Right? Rather enjoy it now. Tomorrow is never promised.
Yeah.
But to have my child and my grandchild now in my life, and I can share with him or her that wealth, there's no better enjoyment than sharing with your own children. Zakah is the extended family, but my own family is my own wealth.
Can I give my zakah to more than one person, or must the whole amount be given to one person?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You know, the objective or maqasid of zakah is to transform an individual, to put them in a better condition than what they were in before. So if, for example, you have, let's say, 2,000 rand to give, and you want to, what they say, diversify your distribution, how much do you think, let's just say you want to diversify it to 4 people, how much do you think a dent is going to make to someone, or a significant change by giving them 500 rand? But if you maybe give them 2,000 rand, that could maybe take them out of debt that they may have. So look at that first. Look at the objective of zakah. Try and transform that individual to make them in a better condition. Maulana always says, when we're distributing, if you're going to give somebody a packet of meat, would it not be better to give them an entire half a lamb? Because then they can actually secure the fact that they've got meat for the entire month, subhanAllah. So look at how you're actually making an impact in someone's life. And if by giving someone maybe a bigger an amount, that would maybe actually benefit them in a different way than just giving sufficient just to be able to buy bread, for example. Because that's why if you also look at economies of scale, if you're distributing and collecting zakah together, and you now maybe have 20,000 rand, and you maybe, let's say, pay that towards someone's education, is that not a better impact? And we always recommend, as families, try and collect your zakah in a pool and see if you can make a bigger impact in someone's life as opposed to distributing 1,000 rand to everybody. So look at the need of the recipient and see if you can actually do that, transform them so that they can become self-sufficient at the end of the day, as opposed to wanting to have another handout or wait for another handout later on.
All right, thank you so much for that. Listener wants to know, when is the best time to give your fidya? And is there a specific time to give zakah?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your time of when you became zakatable, where you have to pay zakah. Your whole start here, when you say your nisab. So, okay, I don't know when I got money, because I was the time I was not really Muslim, I was just Muhammad Hashim. Right? So suddenly now Allah has given me hidayah. So okay, fine. Let's choose a date. I give my zakah every year on that particular date. If I didn't know, I have it before. The paying fidya, and this is the practical part of the anti-Fairuz and anti-Jamila is so important. We nowadays give people most of a parcel for fidya, or we give ready-made food, even fitrah. And we should be very careful today's life. You people might not know, because I stay in these areas, where people sell the groceries to the spaza shop. We organize this beautiful parcel for people to have food for the day of Eid. Let's be practical. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's prevent abuse of the good of our good actions. The person becomes a malik. When you give the parcel, he's a malik.
Yeah.
But me and you can also be the one that encourages them to do the wrong. So when we give it, and then we know the person is a drug addict, don't give him the parcel. Have the guts, and rather give the ready-made. There's organizations that give ready-made food. That same mother that comes stand by the mosque and come cry long tears is the same one that sells a bottle of fish oil to the spaza shop for half the price.
Ya Rabbi.
Allahumma hafazna, Allah protect us. But it's a reality. But we also need to inform the community of what is happening outside. So when there is an abuse of drugs and we know the person coming for it, make sure we give them ready-made food than giving them this beautiful parcel. You know how everybody try to, alhamdulillah, Allah increase us in hidayah,
Ameen.
Try to beautify this parcel. From Sam's side, we make sure in the parcel is breakfast at the day of Eid, there is lunch, there's tea time, also snack also in it. So the whole thing is, the whole day's food is fulfilled, right? But it can be abused. And the person that's the buyer of these things, take the fish oil for 150, he sells it for 15 rand because he doesn't know the price. But our people are doing this. Allah protect us that we are not being part of those, and Allah protect those who are taking the fitrah parcels, that they don't do the wrong, that will cause Allah's unhappiness and Allah's wrath on them.
Ameen. If you have 10,000 rand in the bank, how much is a zakah amount?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So if you have 10,000 rand in the bank, you need to actually determine whether you have met the conditions of zakah. And if 10,000 rand in the bank is the only wealth that you own, then you haven't reached the nisab, because that minimum threshold of surplus wealth is 11,800 rand if it was today. So there would be no zakah due on your wealth. So, but unless obviously if you have other wealth, if you have Kruger coins, or if you have investments or RAs, it's an accumulation of all your zakatable wealth in a basket, less your deductible liabilities, that times 2.5%. So it's not just money in the bank. Because you may just have, for example, less than the nisab in the bank, but you have other wealth. And they all needed to be added together. It's an accumulation, because zakah is due whether it's in your personal capacity, business capacity, etc. You've got to add all of that together. So if if the listener just has 10,000 rand in the bank, alhamdulillah, then you are not regarded as somebody that is meant to pay zakah. So you don't have to worry.
Okay, so here's another one similar to that. Can I receive zakah? I have 9,000 rand in the bank, 84 years old. Can I give zakah to my mother's sister? She's a widow pensioner. No children. She just manages.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Can I get to my mother's sister? Is just managing? Yes, fatwa. Fatwa, yes, you can give to her.
Right.
Taqwa. The hadith says, Khalatuka ka ummuka.
Yes.
Your maternal aunt is like your mother.
Subhanallah.
Imagine the age will come where you become this khala. Will you accept zakah? Because zakah is not a nice thing to consume. Ne? So, if you have money, if you have they call it money to pay zakah, so it means you have assets, you have funds. Why not give to your aunt? That aunt is not a normal aunt. It's your mother's sister. And therefore, at times, the fatwa is there, very clear. Yes, you can. The taqwa part, the God-conscious part, should be, you have money, why would you give that money to your aunt? The other part of it,
No, the listener said they only had 9,000 rand.
the other part of it, where there's they only have 9,000 rand, but you don't have to pay zakah. But if you're 84 years old and you have 9,000 rand in the account, I think you should enjoy your life. The chances that you're going to live another 10 years is impossible.
Yeah, Rob.
Right, but yeah, that's the reality. Rasulullah said, my ummah will live between 60 and 63.
Allahu Akbar.
Above that is Pashela Yara. So you can be an old person. It's like a person, you your whole life you worked. And now you get your provident fund or your pension fund. Now you invest that money. Ya salam. Your whole life you had nothing because you had to work. Now you have the money, you give it to somebody else to invest. They make the most money out of it. You suffer, you still eating halfway the month dry bread. Because what you have an investment at 84, make sure you don't buy apricot jam.
What must you buy then?
I like
Strawberry
apricot
jam.
Fig jam.
No, I like apricot jam.
Something nice because it's your last years of your life.
Okay.
So enjoy what you
Buy
have.
avocado pay rather.
Okay, so the fancy people, But I'm saying to us, we're old now.
Yes,
we get into that point. There's no
True.
guarantee after 63 and you're going to make 73. Enjoy every cent. Don't leave it for our children. They will just fight over your money and you've been suffering your whole life. You might be just enjoy your own wealth.
True,
Because
Maulana.
you know you have worked for it.
Shukran so much. I usually pay zakah in Muharram. However, someone said I should rather pay in Ramadan. Please advise.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. If you paid your date of your whole, if it wasn't Muharram, keep it to Muharram. Remember, if all of us paid just in Ramadan, organizations can't keep up. We need those who Muharram, Rabiul Awwal, Safar, and Rajab to get it on. But you're supposed to keep to your whole and not because somebody else says. Reward is more, but the reward of not. What if you die and you didn't pay in a due date? And you didn't even make a wasiyah that pay my zakah on my due date. You can sit in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a debt. So it is not, it is good. A person said, one tear on Laylatul Qadr is like crying for 84 years in front of Allah. One sadaqah on Laylatul Qadr is like giving sadaqah for 84 years.
Allahu Akbar.
So, but the zakah has still got his whole, and it's a due time to pay your zakah.
And Jamila, maybe just to add on, but if the listener wants to pay an advance payment in Ramadan, then there's nothing wrong with that. As long as they sticking to their whole anniversary date, which is in Muharram, they can make an advance payment in Ramadan. But when they come to Muharram, they still have to do the calculation and see and determine what was actually due. If, for example, 10,000 rand was due and they made an advance payment of 8,000 in Ramadan, then the 2,000 rand is the top-up that they pay in Muharram. But there is nothing wrong in paying advance payment in Ramadan, but not in arrears. You can't delay your payment. Say, for example, it's now Muharram. You want to delay your payment to Ramadan. You can't do that. but you can pay it in advance for the next year when you're actually doing the calculation.
Shukran so much. We are running out of time, and I want to go through all these questions very quickly. I've been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and on treatment. I feel so bad that I don't fast. So I fast 1 day on, 1 day off. Do I pay fidya for the month or only the days I didn't fast? Can I give my fidya to my nieces and nephews?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى. If you are sick or you are traveling, you can pay in a days again. But with cancer, it's a terminal sickness most now, right? So you pay the fidya in the days you can't fast. But it's nothing wrong not to fast when doctors tells you don't fast because of the chemo and this, or because of the cancer even. You know, at the times it's more harmful to the body if you fast and the doctor say you mustn't fast. Islam is not going to stand there. Allah is going to keep everybody's mouth open and see who's fasting, who's not fasting. Allah will reward you for that intention that you had just to fast. So let us not be over salih, over pious. I'm sick and I saw the fast. Rather, pay that fidya, had that intention of fasting, that intention of my heart and my mind. And afterwards, Allah reward you. Remember, man sama Ramadan doesn't exclude those who can't fast. The intention was niyatul mu'min khairu min amalihi. The intention of a believer is better than his action. So it's the last few minutes. Let's round off, inshallah.
I just want to squeeze in a few more, if Luqman allows me. Shukran. I'm a single, divorced, unemployed parent. If I can't pay the full amount, can I give maybe like any amount I can, maybe?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, sister, you may.
Okay.
Islam is about practicality, right? And the person wants to give. The person, we're not going to say don't give. Pay, Allah will reward you according to your intention.
Okay, I'm just going to squeeze in this one here. I have savings for my children. Do I add it to my zakah calculations?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So when we say you have savings for your children, do you have access to it in the sense that if you're going to need the money, you'll be able to remove the money? Because that's generally, as parents, we open accounts for our children, but it's a normal savings account. But if I'm in need of the money, I can withdraw it should anything come up. If that is the case and it's technically still your wealth, you're just saving it on their behalf, but they're not technically the owner as yet, then you pay zakah on all wealth that you are the owner of. So if you're using a savings account just to save for them, but you still managing it in the sense you can remove it, do with it, whatever, then I would suggest you pay zakah on the wealth of those savings accounts. But if you're Shafi'i, you have to pay zakah on it anyway, whether it's a minor child or not. It's only the Hanafi madhab where you do not pay the zakah on the minor child, the wealth of minor children.
Just very quickly again, zakah, is it 2.5% zakah on your savings or what you owe Kanala, like property, like a house and a car?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So zakah that does not attract wealth, that does not attract zakah, or any of those personal assets that you consume in your daily life, like your personal home, your personal car, personal paintings, whatever you have, irrespective of the value. So any of those assets you do not pay zakah on. What you will pay zakah on are any of the other zakatable assets like money in the bank, cash, if people owe you money, investments, retirement annuities, policies, etc. Those are the zakatable assets which you do pay zakah on. Anything that you use in a private capacity or personal capacity, you do not pay on. Neither if you have a business do you pay zakah on any of the infrastructure that you use as tools of trade. So if you have a property and the property is used in a business, for example, it's an admin building, then you do not pay zakah on. But if you have a property that you rent out, so now this is not your personal home, you have another property which you receive rental income, the property in itself is also not zakatable because it's a capital asset. What may be zakatable would be the net rental income if it's still in your bank account on the day you're doing your zakah calculation.
We have run out of time, unfortunately, and there are more questions, but I cannot get to those right now because we're way over our time. So, Maulana, just in wrapping up, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wabihi nasta'in. Sallallahu ala Nabi Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Al-Jamila, on behalf of SANZEF, South African National Zakaah Fund, its national office bearers, its regional office bearers, its trustees, its employees, its volunteers, we want to say to the radio, first of all, Jazakallah, allowing us to have the Zakaah in focus every year.
Jazakallah both to Maulana Hashim Kasimi, the national chairperson at SANZEF, as well as Fairuz Mohammed, the national first deputy chairperson at SANZEF.